Hi there, I'm Carsten. I'm the co-founder of Meta Startup Studio, and this is the 100K Academy where you learn hyper-practical skills to start, run, and grow a purpose-driven lifestyle business. Today is going to be all about how to sell authentically and how to run sales conversations. And the context or background to why we wanted to create a video about this is because people often come to us and wonder, why am I getting interest? People come to talk to me about my offers, but then they ghost me, or then they don't buy, or they write me on LinkedIn or on Instagram a DM, hey, I'm curious, tell me more, and then they just ghost me. And I'm not selling. Where is this coming from? And it's probably because you're inauthentic in your sales process, which results in a lack of trust in you or in your offering. And when this happens, we often ask, hey, you know what, like in order to understand like what's going on, like walk me through your sales process, walk me through your sales call. And then, we often hear, people talk about pre-written scripts. Those are scripts, they're supposed to be amazing, they come from this super cool person, but they don't work with me. And then they also say, I must ask for what I need. They talk about this, that, what, like I must ask for what I must ask for my worth, for the pricing, that I want to come across professional. I really want to sell this client my services. I would love to work with them. I have to sell, I have to sell, like, it's such high pressure. It's I. And this is the common denominator. It's all about them. And that makes it inauthentic because people feel this energy. It's not about them and helping them. It's about you and you in one way or the other. And that is creating, distance, and this creates distrust from people. So let me dive into our sales conversation mindset and tools cheat sheet here that you see on the screen and walk you through some of the main pointers that I want you to really internalize for running more successful sales conversations so that people actually buy from you. And similar logic of what I'm going to talk you through applies to, whether or not you're having a sales conversation via direct messages on Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, wherever, or you're having an actual call, or you're meeting someone in person. And my main point, actually, like before diving into anything, this is actually also part of the first one, is stop focusing on yourself, right? Apart from you and some closest loved ones, people don't really care that much. People care about themselves and whether or not you can help them. And they also like to talk and express themselves, right? So like any human. So just internalize this one main point. But let me give you like a couple of more pointers. So, what you see here in mindset on the top, you see, first of all, there is focus on them, not you. This is what needs to happen, right? What I just mentioned as a main point. It's all about them. When you're not thinking about yourself, but you're only thinking about them, you cannot think about your insecurities. You cannot think about, whether or not you're good enough yet, which especially when you're just starting out, this imposter syndrome and all of that's going to hold you back. That's going to make you sell insecure and inauthentically because you're relying on some random tools that you're jumping on, like some script that's going to sound scripted and not like you. And the second people feel it's not really your genuine you, it's like it's a risk for them, right? So really start shifting your focus entirely to them, and that will make you forget also about your own insecurities, and it makes them feel good and it makes them feel understood, and you will understand them better and you can be able to reply and respond better. I'll talk about this in a moment. Mindset of service and answering questions. So when you talk about scripts, like we started with scripts too, and it was quite horrible every time we brought in elements from the scripts because it just wasn't us. You need to understand the principles behind some of these scripts, but then you just need to be you, and let some of these principles flow in, but that'll come over time organically. And until then, just focus on being in service. How can I serve this person? Like I talk to them, I'm on a sales call. All right, tell me, what do you need? What do you want? What are you struggling with? Like, let me think about this. So we have these and these tools. I have these and these tools. I've worked with people. Like, you're responding to someone with the only intent, how can I potentially help this person? How can this person be helped? And it's also another intention that's very easy for a lot of people that helped me a lot in the beginning is, hey, I'm just here to answer questions. It's not a high pressure sales call. It's me being here in a conversation with a potential client, but I'm actually just here to help this person. I'm here to answer any questions they may have. questions about, you know, what I think as an expert about how they can solve their problems, questions about how I usually work with people, questions about what I have to offer, etc. So that's that. Be there for Q&A in a human conversation, right? Now, last point here is understand, evaluate, and share. So, you know, I spoke to this a little bit earlier, like, you know, as they are speaking, as they're talking to you and they're sharing, you know, what's going on with them, you're asking questions, right, to understand and really be in service, and they're sharing. And as they share, you know, especially over time, in the beginning, it may not be as easy or intuitive. And then you can just, you know, wrap up your sales codes. You know what, like, let me go back to what I got and see how I could, you know, tailor this to what you actually want and need. And then you can tell me if that's something interesting for you. Later, it's better to do this in the call, in the moment when you have them right in front of you, because you can gauge their reaction, you can respond, etc. Right? But, you know, understand what they need, and then you already know your own offering. You know, especially over time, you get more and more confident understanding your offer, what works, what doesn't work, how it works. So you can connect things they say to the different elements of your offer. Don't just blindly tell them this is my offer, you know, but related to specific things they say in the conversation. You mentioned this, you know, like, if I relate this to my offer, like, this element would be really helpful for that, you know. Like, you also mentioned this, like, I have this, but it probably won't be as helpful, but I have this other thing as well, and that will really make a difference for you, you know, based on this other thing that you said. So you can really relate and evaluate and share, you know, how does your offer respond or, you know, correlate to what they are talking about. All right, so let us dive into some tools here. So, you know, as certified professional coaches, which we are, but which also some of you will be, you know, there are some great and easy tools out there to establish human connection with your counterpart. And especially in a sales call, it's all about creating a good, genuine human connection, and for the other person to feel understood, to feel empathy from you, and to feel safe with you. So, you know, one tool I wanted to share with you is a tool that's called ACA. Like, Alex Hormozy also talks about this tool, but it's actually, you know, some general coaching knowledge that's infused in what this tool is, psychology knowledge, I guess. And it's called ACA, Acknowledge, Compliment, Ask. And acknowledge means, you know, if they say, oh, you know, I'm struggling to, you know, get my promotion, I cannot move to the next level of my career ladder, you know, like, it's really difficult, like, I've been stuck on this for 2 years or whatever, or 5 years or whatever now, I'm trying so hard. And then you're like, all right, so what I'm hearing from you is, you know, you're on this level and you're trying to get to this level, and it's been really difficult. Of course, it's, you know, difficult. So just by repeating a little bit of, you know, what they have just told you, maybe with a minimally rephrased, but you can use their own words, do use their own words, because words have meaning to people. So you don't have to say 100% the same thing they say, but the keywords they use, you want to reuse as well in your summary. And it's basically playing back what they told you. And they will feel like super understood because you just showed that you really listen to them, right? Now, the next one is complimenting, you know, and this can often be, you know, something very simple, like, hey, but you know what? You're on this call. You're in action. You're moving forward. You know, you're finding solutions. This is amazing. This is more than most people would do, right? So already congratulate yourself for this. I congratulate you for this. You know, this is amazing. Or, you know, but hey, you're working for this amazing company. You know, not many people even make it there. Like, it's already amazing where you are, and let's see how we can get you to, you know, where you want to go even further. Find something in what they've told you that is impressive, that is cool. Be authentic. Don't make up some random shit. You know, whatever actually feels impressive to you, call that out. In the very least, you can call out, you know, that they are in action, aiming to solve something and take responsibility for solving something in their life that they want to solve, rather than just hoping it will happen. Last one is the A, which stands for ask. Ask open-ended, empowering questions. So this is all about just, you know, continuously checking in with them, not speaking too much in the call. You want to speak the least in the call. You want them to speak the most. The most successful call will be if they speak the most and you the least. So, you know, what questions to ask. Don't ask closed-ended questions, because if you ask, do you like this? They will say yes. And then you're back, you know, in the role to speak. So ask them, you know, what, if anything, do you like the most about this? If you wanted to ask a question like that, what, if anything, is that, how, if anyhow, would you do this? Like, where, do you feel that like there could be something, so it leaves them a question to explore and make it obviously a question that's empowering, that's like, moving them towards a solution state. You're almost coaching them a little bit on, what they think is the solution, what they think they need, what they think they want. And you let them explain this in more words. And this is basically what the framework is. And acknowledge, complement, ask. And then what I mentioned before, right? From the data that you're gathering there, you can then relate what they say back to your services and products. But as you're going through the ACA process, you're establishing so much trust and so much rapport, and they will feel really like you are in service to them just by using this tool. There's the second tool there. It's called validation. So of negative feelings. So, as any coach of psychologists, we know there are no negative feelings, right? There's just feelings. But what we call with that is, if you, in the example I mentioned to you before, they were frustrated that they cannot make it to the next, promotion. Frustration is something like this: worry, concern, doubt in themselves, feeling not good enough, feeling angry, all these emotions, they are those so-called negative emotions, feeling depressed, feeling like out of energy. So these are all things that if you hear them, it will create even more rapport and trust with them if you validate this. So listen for those feelings. Whenever they say these feelings, it's a great opportunity. You don't have to do this every time, but if you do this once or twice during the call, it'll create a massive like trust relationship just by doing this. So for example, they say, it's so frustrating because I'm in this job for so long, I'm working so hard, I'm not getting the promotion. You can be like, so, what I'm hearing, what I told you earlier, play back, acknowledge, like, is you're in this job for so long and you just cannot make it forward. And, it sounds like you really want this and care for this. So of course it's frustrating, when it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to work out. So what I've done here is I've played back their situation and I've validated, I've given them like, hey, it's normal to feel this way. That's another way you could say it. It's totally understandable. You're frustrated given this situation, that you just said. Like, it makes a lot of sense, and by saying this, they feel like, it's normal. I'm feeling this way. I'm not a weirdo or something's wrong with me. So yeah, that's very important. And these are two very easy, great tools from psychology coaching space. Now, furthermore, building trust. After asking a lot of questions, I spoke to this already, so I'm just going to cover this shortly. How to relate it back to your services and your experience. Now that you've understood the things they care about, the things they struggle with, think about yourself or think about a client you've worked with, if you already have some client cases that had similar circumstances as they have been describing. And you can then relate back, hey, you know what I do is this and this, and this is what really helped me at the time when I was feeling like this, when I was in this, or one of my clients was saying the same thing as you. They were in this position and they tried to do that. And, when I worked with them, like, this didn't work, but what really made a difference was this. This really created a shift, and then they could do this. So you can relate, what they say to what you do and what your methodology is. You can highlight the most important features and elements. So like, I'm offering, as a part of my service, I have this feature, this feature, this feature, we dive into procrastination, we dive into communication, we dive into, I don't know, whatever it is that you're offering as different elements of your offer. And they are like, oh, I'm having such difficulty connecting with my boss. It's probably some sort of communication thing, right? So, you can then relate it back to, what, based on what you've said, like connecting with your boss, and that's why you don't get the promotion. Like, the communication element of what we do is probably the most relevant for you and given where you're at and what you need. This is how it works. This is how it can help you potentially, right? Also highlight what isn't necessarily best for them, right? If you have another element, which is procrastination, but they are like not procrastinating, they are in action, they are like doing the things, just say, hey, I normally have this in my package as well, but that's probably not as relevant for you in your specific scenario. So I would rather like take that out or dial that down and rather, increase the time spent in comms. And here's some ways how I could do this. So you can, again, relate relevantly from what they say to what you can offer. Now, wrapping up, right? So now you're getting towards, you've asked a lot of questions, you've built rapport, you really understood them, you've shared some things. Now you need to like get them to make a decision on buying from you. So you need to wrap up somehow in towards. Also, as you're noticing, maybe you have another call coming up, or the conversation is just, getting to the end of the time that you guys agreed. Ask what, if any, other questions they still have, about what you do and how you could support them. Like, and they may say, you know what, I think, like I've asked everything, I have a pretty good idea, or they may come up with something else, right? You want to not leave the call without having something answered, because if they don't have an answer to something that's important on their mind, it holds them back from making a decision. So you really want to make sure you've answered all their questions, right? And not just questions, but also openly address, or like how do you feel, or what do you feel about this offer, or what I'm offering, and how this could work like so far. And if they say, I'm not sure yet, maybe I'll think about it, very red, me, let me think about it is very dangerous. It can be okay, but when they say this, at least check in again, okay, interesting. Like, what if any concerns or doubts, do you still have based on what we discussed? Because if you're still thinking about, it feels like something is not really clicking yet for you, and I'm just want to understand, what that could be. Ask it naturally, authentically, like I just did, and then they will tell you, and then you can respond to that. Okay, and you can go back to your Q&A mode, right? You're just answering questions. There's no pressure for you, right? You're just making them actually express the doubts in their head, which if they don't express them to you, you cannot answer them, and then they will not buy from you. Now, typical objections that as well will come up is like when you ask them, what are still some concerns, there will always be the concern of money, right? That's one that comes up almost every time. It's expensive, I'm not sure I can afford this right now, I'm not sure it's worth it right now, I need to think about it because it's a lot of money, and like, have that, be open for this conversation. Don't shy away from money conversations, because it's just normal, it's just human, right? Everyone has this, everyone thinks like this, you think like this too when you're investing on something bigger, maybe something more unknown. So like, be open to this. Mention, if they say it's too expensive right now, say, hey, we can also like work on payment plans, like we could split it. Like, I don't know if you have any kind of thoughts of like what would be more, like if we were to split it, what would be more, like easier for you given your situation right now? Because I understand finances, it sucks if you don't want to put the financial pressure on yourself just for, the sake of solving this problem necessarily. So let me see how I can accommodate. Like, I'm sure that we can find a way. Also, if they say just in general it's too much, like if the payment plan is not the kind of solution, but it's more like it's just too much in general, like I cannot spend that much money, you can, okay, you know what, we said, the comms is the most relevant, like why don't we kick out this and this, and we don't necessarily bump up the comms part like crazy, but we keep it there, we keep it in the standard way. It already will make a big difference for you. It'll give you a lot of basic tools, and we just have then less sessions or make the package smaller, and that could fit then, like, so just tell me like what's the budget that would feel comfortable, and we can think about, how could we, if it's possible, how to like maybe cut down the package a little bit so it's still very relevant and tackles the most important things for you, but it also makes sense financially for me, and then they can just tell you, and you can just talk about it. It's a chat, right? It's like, you need to find a win-win. If you don't find a win-win, if you're not winning, you're not gonna want to do it. If they are not winning, they're not gonna want to buy from you. So you want to find this combo, right? But the only way to find it is to talk about it. And the last but not least here, people objections. So, people often say, oh, but I need to check with my partner first. It's a lot of money, maybe again, right? But there's another person involved, so I need to check with them. Or, I already am like taking like a lot of things for myself. My partner is, like struggling alone with the kids or whatever. I need to check with them first, right? Like, so this is something that often will be named as well as an objection, that other people's needs need to be catered to, and that's why there may not be enough time and energy to cater to, whatever solution you have to offer to them. So when this comes up, something that you can very easily do is to offer another 15-minute chat just a few days from today, right? Because these things will happen, they can happen, and it's okay that they ask, right? you can ask them and coach them a little bit, hey, you know, what exactly is the concern, you know, just to get them clearer on what's actually the problem and for you to get clearer as well. And sometimes they will notice, oh, it's not really a problem. But you know, if you notice it's, you know, you need to feel a little bit the situation sometimes as well. Like if they're really stuck on this, you know what, like talk to your partner, talk to whomever, right? Like I totally understand, you know, it's an ecosystem, right? It needs to work for the whole family. So go, like let's maybe like put in a date for in, you know, 3-4 days, like, or when you want to talk to them, maybe in a week from now, what time would work for you? And you schedule in another call, maybe for just 15 minutes. And then that's something that that would allow you to make sure that you have another check-in with them, another touch point, right? If they log in another appointment with you, they're not gonna you know, like just ghost you so easily. It's a bigger effort for them to say, oh no, I don't want to, you know, talk to you anymore, and I cancel the meeting if they already committed to one, right? So it's another way to make sure that you keep them in your universe and you have another checkpoint, you know, even if you let them go to speak to someone that they want to speak to and align with. And that's really what I wanted to give you. So if in summary, you know, you focus on them, not on yourself, you use tools to build trust, acknowledge, compliment, ask questions, validate feelings like, you know, frustrations, anger, worry, doubt, etc. It's normal people feel this. Tell them it's normal. It'll make them feel very good about it. Build trust, you know, show client examples, speak to your own examples, relate it back to what they said, you know, highlight relevant points, also highlight non-relevant points because it'll make them trust more what you say about relevant points, you know, wrap up, get to the point, ask them like, what if any remaining questions they still have, especially doubts, concerns, like make them feel really safe and good about just mentioning them to you so you can address and speak about it with them. If they bring up money objections, offer payment plans, offer them the possibility to, you know, reduce the package by, you know, elements that are not as relevant, but make through that the pricing more doable for them. You know, give them the possibility to speak to a partner, whomever who they want to speak to, but lock in a call before you let them go. So I hope this was helpful. There is going to be a resource below. I'll leave this cheat sheet that you've seen on the screen. I'll leave it below for download below the video. And with that, I hope you enjoyed and you implement this, because if you don't implement any of this, you just listen to it and it sounded cool, but you're not really trying to implement it, and don't expect the implementation to be super smooth from the start. So if you don't do this, nothing will change, right? But if you want to start selling more and more authentically and get more money from this, get more clients, start implementing. Maybe just pick one piece and focus on that for your next sales conversation. Just run home acknowledging, complimenting, and asking questions. Forget about all the rest, right? For example. All right. With that, I wish you a good day. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Ciao.